Hello and welcome to our webinar of today. Today we will talk about the future industries, Internet of Things, and other technologies that are all part of the so-called Industry 4.0. My name is Kim and I am your host of today. I am Director for Trend and Innovation Scouting at Germany Trade and Invest, the Federal Economic Development Organization of Germany. This webinar is part of the Start.up Germany tour, which has the objective to attract startups from all over the world to Germany and build bridges with all sorts of innovation stakeholders from the private and public sector. During the actual tour in November and the pre-program running online until then, international startups and entrepreneurs get the chance to participate, for instance, in reverse corporate pitch events, virtual matchmakings, one-on-one meetings with companies, and learn about business culture and market entry to Germany. The Startup Germany tour takes place for the 5th time, and this year more than 40 German chambers of commerces abroad, the so-called AHKs, participate, making this initiative a truly global event. And also today, we have participants and registrations from more than 25 countries from all continents. But this whole event wouldn't be possible with strong partners and, of course, our organizer. So first of all, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Dortmund, namely Dominik Stute and his team, the Chambers of Commerce and Industry in North Rhine-Westphalia, and the Association of German Chambers of Commerce and Industry and the German Chambers of Commerces abroad. Also on a local level, our partners are the Ministry of Economy, Innovation, Digitization and Energy of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia and NRW Global Business, the Economic Development Organization of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. So what is this webinar about? Today, you will learn about the German market, about the Digital Hub Initiative, the federal innovation ecosystem of Germany, and useful market information from my distinguished colleague, Stephanie Burgdorf. Also, we will take a deep dive into the technologies and applications in the fields of digitization, automation, and also connectivity that are shaping the manufacturing industry in Germany, the so-called Industry 4.0 space. And I'm very happy that we have 3 fantastic expert speakers with us for the panel discussion. So let me introduce Stephanie to you. She has 10 years of experience with GTAI. She has advised hundreds of startups on market entry to Germany, and I have the personal privilege that she is actually part of my team, being responsible for the internationalization of the Digital Hub Initiative on behalf of Germany's Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy. Thank you, Stephanie, for being with us today, and we're looking forward to your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Kim, and thanks a lot for the very kind introduction. I brought some slides with me today, which I will happy to share now. Just a second. So you can see my screen now. And yeah, very warm welcome from my side as well. As Kim was saying, I've been working with Germany Trade and Invest for quite a few years. And today I would like to give you a very short overview about Germany Trade and Invest, about the German ecosystem or the startup ecosystem, as well as the Digital Hub Initiative. So what is Germany Trade and Invest? As Kim was saying, Germany Trade and Invest is the economic development agency of Germany, and we do have more than 50 offices abroad. We have 3 main tasks. The first one is that we support German companies setting up a business in foreign markets. And the second one is that we promote Germany as a business location. And what goes hand in hand with that is that we assist foreign companies and foreign startups, as you guys, in setting up a business in Germany. And how do we do this? Well, we give you support in all stages, but also right from the beginning of your expansion strategy. So meaning we're helping you with your project management, and we provide you with all relevant and useful industry information about the different sectors, for instance, Industry 4.0. And we can also tell you about the R&D landscape. We all coordinate site visits, and we bring you together with all the relevant people you need to know. And of course, all of our information is free of charge, and all your inquiries are treated with the most confidentially. So, but let's have a look at the German startup ecosystem. I brought some figures from last year. And as you can see here, that despite the COVID pandemic, there have been quite a few funding rounds, and actually there have been almost 3,000 startups been funded. Regarding the money, there have been 5.3 billion euros VC money been spent in those startups. And when we look at the industry, ICT is leading up front, followed by food, retailer, consumer goods, but also healthcare and automotive, etc. When we have a look at the business models, it's probably not surprisingly that software as a services is leading, followed by online platforms and software developments. Here you see a selection of our most successful startups in Germany. All of them are ranked unicorns. So, as you probably all know, we don't have as many unicorns as, for instance, the United States yet. But there has been a lot of development regarding this throughout the last years, and more companies or startups are ranked even more valuable and almost touching the point of unicorns. So, there's actually a lot of opportunities for startups in Germany. When it comes to scaling to Germany, we brought 9 or actually almost 10 reasons to come to Germany as a startup and why you should choose Germany as your business location. Well, first of all, we are the leading economy and we really have a large domestic market, meaning there's a lot of potential for you to bring your either business model or product to the market. Secondly, we are the world's number 3 exporter, so we really are a global player. And this goes also hand in hand with our high productivity rates. Germany has one of the most highest productivity rates throughout the world. Regarding our workforce, we also have a very good education system, especially with the vocational training. So not all of our education is done by university, but in Germany, it's really popular to have like on-site training. So you get all of the experience you need to know for later on in the industry itself and get a training there. And of course, Germany is very innovative. So we are Europe's number 1 location for research. Then again, we have a very good infrastructure and we are really located at the heart of Europe. So from Germany, it's very easy to spread to other countries within Europe and you're really located at the center. We also have very inviting incentives, for instance, for the reimbursement of direct investment costs or for labor and R&D. And we also have quite competitive tax conditions. And also, to be real honest, we really have a high quality of life here in Germany. And the 10th reason, I would say, is the Digital Hub initiative, but I will come to that in a second. So, what I really would like you to know, and I was saying it in the beginning, we can help you with setting up your business in Germany. So, whenever you have any questions regarding coming to Germany, meaning visa and entry regulations, but also about the whole process of setting up a company, also talking about incentive programs, corporate taxation, customs, etc., and also employees and social security, just give us a call, send us an email, get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to help. So, if you've heard it now for 2 times, the Digital Hub initiative. What is it and why are we promoting it here? Well, the initiative is an initiative by the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy, and it started in 2017. Our goal is, well, actually for Germany, to become a digital ecosystem of global importance. So we want to foster digitization, we want to foster innovation, and we want to bring together the right people, meaning that we do work with a lot of startups in Germany, but also from abroad, and bring those startups together with SMEs, corporates, academia, politicians, etc., to create win-win situations for all, and so that all of the partners that need to know each other get to know each other and can work on new digital solutions and new digital products. Here you see the map of Germany and you see 12 little red dots. All of these dots represent one of our digital hubs. And as you can see here, all of the clusters or all of the hubs have a different industry focus. For instance, logistics in Hamburg, mobility and insurtech in Munich, and so on. And what's probably most interesting for you now is, for instance, the IoT hub in Berlin, but also the Future Industry Hub in Stuttgart, and also the Smart Systems Hub in Dresden. All of these hubs are dealing with the topic of Industry 4.0, IoT, and topics that goes hand in hand with that. And I'm really happy that we have two of our speakers in our panel discussion later on from these hubs with us today, so you can ask them all the questions you would like to have to answer. Since the beginning of the initiative, more than 2,500 startups have joined our initiative from Germany, but also from abroad. And we do have more than 2,000 SMEs within our initiative, plus a large number of scientific and academic institutes and international cooperation. And to sum it up with a few more numbers, what's probably most interesting is that there have been more than 500 successfully established collaborations between startups and SMEs or corporates. And there has been 1.4 billion euros VC money invested in startups from the Hub initiative since the beginning. So to give you an example of 3 startups working with corporates or SMEs within our initiative, here we have a slide which shows those, and you're probably all familiar with Volkswagen, and they did a cooperation with one of the startups within our initiative called Wandelbots. It's in a robotics startup in Dresden, and they have like a sensor jacket where you can train robots, which was really helpful for Volkswagen. The second example is a startup called Motionminer, a logistics startup from Hamburg, and they have been collaborating with Renus. And Motionminer is basically like a fitness tracker for companies in order to make processes more efficiently, which was then again really helpful for Renus. And the same applies for Deutsche Bahn. They have been doing projects with Mobility, which is a startup with a planning software, and thus also creates really high value for Deutsche Bahn. So I just wanted to show you that there are opportunities, and there is actually need for solutions within different fields or various fields of either Industry 4.0, but also lots of other topics. And if you would like to join our initiative, just like I said, give us a call and get in touch with us. We have lots of activities on a national and on an international level. Falco and Christian will tell you a little bit more about that in a second. For instance, we have within our digital hubs, we have different accelerating programs that you can apply for. We do a lot of events, online, offline. We have VC dinners, networking and matchmaking sessions, and you can always also find us at the big tech fair conference. For instance, Web Summit in Lisbon, Viva Tech in Paris, etc. We always have a booth there in order for international startups to get to know us and join the initiative. So I hope to see you either later on or in November at the Startup Germany tour. And I wish you now very good conversation with the rest of the speakers. And I give the mic back to Kim.
Thank you, Stephanie, for the kind introduction and the very interesting information about the German market, but especially about the Digital Hub initiative, which is in fact quite unique on an international scale. There are actually not many countries all over the world that have such an initiative. Which really brings together the key players within one country, all working together, to develop new innovative solutions for the industries. So that brings us actually to the topic of today, Industry 4.0. What is this all about? Everywhere, all over the world, digitalization is key. Well, the digital transformation revolutionizes whole industries, sometimes even creates new industries. But on the other hand side, that doesn't only create immense potential for companies to participate, and actually conquer new markets, but it also can be a threat to established industries and established companies. That for instance, worked in a brick and mortar business and now have to face these digital challenges in order to compete not only on a local scale, but also on a global scale. And in Germany, with a huge amount of small and medium-sized enterprises, the so-called hidden champions, being world leaders in their fields, they need to stay ahead of their competition worldwide. Um, but we will have a closer look at the opportunities and also the technologies and applications in the field of Industry 4.0, actually where it comes from and how it has developed not only in Germany but also all across the world, with our fantastic panelists. So, let me introduce you our speakers of today. First of all, there's Asha Maria Sharma. She's my dear colleague at Germany Trade and Invest. She has more than 10 years with our organization working in the field of economic development. She's leading the Industry 4.0 practice in our organization. And previously, she has worked as our director in the GTAI office in India, in Mumbai. So, welcome, Asha Maria.
Hi, Kim. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Great. So next is Christian Lorenz. Christian is a managing director at our digital hub, Future Industries in Stuttgart. And this hub, provides a stage for new business models and digital trends, enriched by an international network of startups and established corporations. So this is really what it's all about: startups, corporations, and transforming industries with innovation. So, it's great to have you here, Christian. And the last speaker is Falco Schütt. Falco is the chairman of the board at IoT Plus Network in Berlin, and he's the representative of our IoT hub in Berlin. Falco has more than 10 years of experience in the B2B tech space and has taken on leadership roles at Next Big Thing AG over the last years, which is a successful venture studio in Berlin. So Falco is a true IoT or tech enthusiast and specialist. Thanks for being here with us, Falco.
Thanks for inviting me.
All right, let's start with our discussion. And first of all, Asha, let's talk about this whole term, Industry 4.0. I mean, it was created here. Some people say, it was created at the Hannover Messe, at the Hannover Trade Fair, or by them. Yeah, but this is a different discussion. Who created it? But let's rather talk about what it actually means. Yeah, where does it come from, and what does Industry 4.0 mean to you?
Yeah, thank you, Kim. Yeah, actually, a long, long time ago, like a fairy tale, but it's only like 10 years when this term, this brand name, as I would say now, first emerged. And I think there are several fathers to it, no mothers probably. There was, I think it came up after the financial crisis in 2008, 2009, when the German government started thinking about how to really help the German, especially SMEs in the manufacturing field, to keep up, to stay on forefront and to stay market world leader. And then basically the discussion came up, and we saw a fourth industrial revolution. That was the fact to digitize the production even more. It was not only automizing it, but digitizing it. And I think it was the fact to link IT and OT in the companies to reach a more, to make value chains more efficient and resilient. That was where it all came from. And step by step, as I think Steffi said as well, or you said it, the brick and mortar needed to adopt digital ideas, so work with data, think about maybe changing the business models. Well, the larger companies could work very much on their own on this because they had the knowledge, they had the workforce to do so. But for the SMEs, there was a bit more support needed, and this is how the whole system of Industry 4.0 got developed. And the whole the structures that we're going to talk about in Germany to help especially SMEs to adopt it, and as well the opportunities for companies from be it national or internationally to join this ecosystem came up.
Yeah, thank you, Asha. I guess you mentioned one very interesting point, and that is, why Germany is so strong and why Germany, is promoting this term so much, and that is, the huge the importance of the German Mittelstand, the SMEs.
Right. Yeah.
In the Falco, now Industry 4.0 is not a new term anymore. I mean, Germany was very successful in exporting this term, and also with it its technologies and its companies, all across the world. How has Industry 4.0 and the whole space developed over time? In your opinion, where it started and where are we now, and where will we head actually?
That's a very interesting question as well. So I think it started with the idea, first and foremost, that you could create and work on the next wave of industrialization using digital spaces, digital technologies, and the digital economy. To have a digital economy, though, you need to start digitalization first and foremost. And as was rightfully said, to help the German Mittelstand or the hidden champions, the small to medium-sized but also larger companies, there needs to be some initiative. And as far as I can tell, there has been a lot of standardization, a lot of discussions going on, but also more and more and increasingly more trial and error progress in all different kinds of companies. So in the beginning, I was a bit critical how quickly this could actually get off the ground. But in the past 10 years, we've seen more and more companies actually be open, more and more companies be willing to experiment with digital technologies. The question where it's headed is a bit up for grabs, of course. It depends on what you consider to be digitalization and like the whole wave of Industry 4.0. When will it end? Will it change? Will it shift? But definitely looking into Internet of Things technologies is more like my jam, so to say. Or if you look into blockchain technologies or distributed ledger technology, and if you look to artificial intelligence, there's a lot of very complex technology stacks ahead of us, also for the Industry 4.0 space.
Yeah, you're already mentioning a couple of these technologies that actually play a key role. In the whole development of Industry 4.0, we will get to that and have a look at them a bit closer during this discussion. But let's look at it. First of all, on the German landscape. I mean, one can think, okay, German manufacturing companies need to transform. It's their problem, so now they get solutions and they can solve it. But probably it's a bit more difficult and a bit more complex, and there is, it's not a niche problem. It's actually a whole economic problem. Christian, when you look at it, what impact does this whole Industry 4.0, let's say, movement, have on the German industry landscape, at large?
I think it has, in fact, a very deep and broad impact on the whole landscape of industry in Germany, not only in Germany, but especially here. I would say it's a paradigm change, because things who have been on the priority list first of an entrepreneur are getting in a second or third position. Especially in Germany, we were very strong in engineering, machine building. This is connected with Germany still until today, but it's not the hardware which is most important, but it's the data-based process. And so this change from hardware to software is the change of paradigm, I would say. We are strong in Germany, but we have also some threats. I would say the threats are that we might not be fast enough. We are a little bit over-regulated, maybe not even a little bit. We have too many regulations. But, and this is the good thing, and I would like to express it here in this context, we are very open. As the GDAI shows, we are open to integrate ideas and companies and brains from abroad. And that's also something what we as a network would like to promote and to foster.
Absolutely. I guess this is one key aspect. And during this webinar, we will definitely talk about how foreign actors, startups and entrepreneurs, can actually make use of the potential that is in here, and also, how you, with your organizations, for instance, can help eventually. But let's talk about Germany. First, and the topic of Industry 4.0. I mean, Germany has exported this term, and it's kind of associated with Germany and not with any other country. So what actually makes Germany so strong and makes Germany a global leader in Industry 4.0, Asha? What did Germany do, to actually, conquer this field, on a global scale?
Oh, it all happened before Industry 4.0 came up, I would say. If you compare Germany worldwide or even in the European Union and look for the percentage of the GDP that stems from manufacturing industry plus related services, you'll see that with around 30%, we are a very, very strong player in this field. In the EU, we are number one. Worldwide, well, things are changing a bit. I think China really comes up now, but still we are very strong. And we in Germany is both. It's a market and it's a seller and exporter. So there are a lot of machinery and equipment companies that are interested that need to adopt these Industry 4.0 and digitization issues. And once they have done it, they will export with their machinery, with their equipment, with their services, these ideas of Industry 4.0 worldwide. So, I mean, the Germany as a market, you all know that, well, we have a strong production industry, but Germany as well is sort of a high-cost country. Plus, we have an aging society, which all leads to automation gaining more importance. So that is why German companies, large ones, but as well the Mittelstand companies, are interested in, finding ways and finding ideas to be more efficient. Plus, the thing, well, we are exporting. If you have a closer look on the export, you will see that around 60% of the production of the manufacturing industry is exported, a lot to the EU, but the rest worldwide. So we are exporting the knowledge in a way, we are exporting the products, but on the other hand, we ask the suppliers as well to adjust to our required standards here.
So it actually means that when you are a solution provider to a German manufacturing company, it doesn't only mean that you talk about what's going on in Germany,
right.
but when you work with that company, it could also be on a larger international scale,
Right.
because the companies are active actually all over the world usually, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Falco, let's look a bit at the actual problems. I mean, we talked about the digitalization, automation. Asha mentioned also changing society. But what are actually the specific problems, the real pain points of specific companies in that field? What is it actually about? What do they need?
If you openly ask them in public, of course, nothing. Everything's set. But if you happen to have a chat on the C-suite level, for example, sometimes people open up. So I think the basic challenges have basically all been addressed in a company. The management understands what, for example, IoT, tech, digitization, DLT can offer. I mean, with some technologies to better or for better for worse, for good detail or large amount of detail, or a bit less. But with larger companies, I often hear that there's a skill gap within the organization as well. So people need to learn about how can you actually derive a benefit, a net worth and added value from technologies like DLT, IoT, AI. And that's something in the broader sense where you need education, since these technologies are very new. You cannot get people that have studied this for 4 years at university. You just have to get them through experimentation, through using technologies, or through having people that know and can offer you some education for your company.
Yeah, it doesn't really sound like a quick fix, right? You cannot just go out in the market, buy the solution, implement it, and you're good, right?
That is not a quick fix, because if you have to educate 5,000 people, or even if it's just 1,000 people, I mean, you don't need to educate all of your staff, most likely, but everyone is affected by changes of digitization and deep tech. So you need to have a larger amount of people understanding what they can do, what the use of it is, because only if you can make the use known, people will actually start to use technologies.
But when we talk about the changes, inside these companies, let's go really on the business level. Yeah, I mean, is Industry 4.0 a topic for back office functions, for administrative tasks, or do we really have to go down to the assembly line? And where does it actually, where is it applied? Yeah, or is it really a bigger problem? Is the whole company actually affected?
It comes from this.
I think that's the interesting point you mentioned, because it's everywhere. So, and the integration of the whole process from the engineering, from the vision of the product, engineering, production, and customer experience in the end. So that's the challenge, of course, to see all these integrated processes.
Yeah, I guess that brings us back to the topic, of data, that the companies produced products and now they are managing information more or less. And in the end, of course, they produce something. But yeah, so Christian, when you're dealing with industrial companies in Stuttgart, in the Future Industries Hub, can you tell us a bit about their specific needs when they come to you and want to become a member of your hub? What problems do they put on the table?
I think the biggest problem is that the decision takers and the C-level, or the maybe also the founders, the entrepreneurs of the family businesses, suddenly are in a position that they do not know which decision is, or which solution supplier is to be decided for. So they know we have to do something. They have a general idea about digitization, and there's a wide range of solution offering, from startups, from bigger IT suppliers, and so on. But suddenly they are in the position that they are not able to take the decision by themselves. So they need knowledge to decide for a partner to run the digitization business and to educate their employees, of course. I think this is the biggest problem. And that's a part of what we try to solve with all these networking, that we try to match the fitting partners. But it will take some time, or it always takes some time.
I completely agree, and I would like to add to this that, with the previous point as well, it really depends on what you're trying to achieve, because when we talk about digitization, I hope we're not just talking about digitalizing paper. So you get rid of your paper back office, so to say, just to replace it with hopefully iPads or something like this. But we're talking about a fundamental change in business models potentially.
Right.
So if you really want to switch it up, if you really want to have a say in the future economies, you need to be able to switch, for example, to a SaaS business where you used to be a manufacturing business, or where you used to be a machine goods producer. Where you used to supply the world with your printing presses or whatever it may be, or your turbines. Then you don't sell the physical good necessarily anymore, but you start selling, as it was known then, by the hour, or by the product itself, by the item that you can produce, by the uptime. So these are completely drastic business changes that not only change accounting, but also the way to think about the company itself.
Right. And yeah, if I may add to that, I think that's something the government has now is acknowledging, because since 10 years the support is ongoing for the implementation and explanation of Industry 4.0, and we started at a rather theoretical level, I would say, and now it's getting more and more practical, meaning that support and information is provided to the SMEs on a regional level, with the organizations and companies like yours, but as well there are platforms with working groups, with interactive maps, with examples. There are clusters, there are smart factories where a company can go and say, I have this and that challenge. How could I solve it? Can we check it out? Can you please help me, for example, how to use an AI-based solution? So yeah, it's an ongoing process. And that's why I think Germany can serve as a blueprint for several other countries as well, always having in mind the industrial background in that country. Yeah.
Absolutely. Falco, let's talk about IoT Plus network.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this is where you are involved in. And Asha, rightly mentioned that the connections between the different players that are involved in this digital transformation of industries, from the public sector, from the private sector, academia, and so on, is very important because we talk about new technologies, and so there is a lot of learning and involved, and also a lot of trial and error, of course. But yeah, tell us maybe a little bit more what you do in the IoT Plus network and how you enrich this whole network.
I want to go one step back and basically try to explain why we came up with the idea to make it a business network. And it comes a bit out of my history of consulting, C-staff consulting companies established and new, and also working in my positions in marketing and business development, of course. And it is that in the past couple of years, I still encountered companies, startups and bigger companies alike, that told me about the same challenges, the challenges that I have been discussing and in my head solving for the past 6 or 7 years already. And I figured, at least with the underlying basic needs that any company might have that wants to work in IoT, wants to work with IoT, there shouldn't be question marks anymore. There should be answers instead. And so that was the underlying idea, the thought that there needs to be a network of businesses and business professionals that can provide answers and solutions to other businesses and other business professionals. And so we set out with 7 founding members and created this network that understands anything from predictive maintenance, asset tracking, IoT, digital twins, you name it. Anything basically you will have to do where you connect the physical world with the digital world and use data to come up with new business ideas, products, or business models. And if you have a challenge that you cannot necessarily solve, or if you have question marks, you can come to IoT Plus Network, and in the easy first step, we can discuss what a solution might look like or who could help you. Is it me who can give you consulting on the side or give you consulting straight up? Is it one of our educational partners that can help you educate your staff, if that's more the challenge? Is it a software or product need that you need to have addressed because you have a new idea and you need someone to do some hard coding for you on that level? Or is it, for example, a sensor that you're looking to get, or a sensor-based solution that you're looking to get? We have companies in the network that have answers for all these different challenges. And we, of course, don't have answers to every challenge yet. We're looking for more challenges ourselves because we're looking to grow as well, to be even more resilient and more beneficial to everyone involved.
Yeah, thank you, Falco. I mean, you're based in Berlin, and the network comes out of Berlin, but of course, it's not limited to Berlin. Yeah, but let's also then move to Stuttgart, Christian. What you're doing in the Stuttgart area, but also a little bit beyond. I mean, it sounds a bit similar that you also try to bring together the different actors. You also create a network of different companies, startups, but also industrial companies. So, what is your approach of bringing of managing this community and bringing it to life?
Yes, Falco already mentioned some of the activities we also do. We would say we are having activities in 3 fields: spaces, services, and events. Spaces means we offer workspace, not only co-working spaces, but also brain space for the work. We offer services, so we offer to corporates or to SMEs participation in these in the entrepreneurial spirit. And events, of course, we are having a wide range of events which we use to network, to communicate. It's not only educational events, but it's going until we have a motto: meet the avant-garde in business, technology, and arts. And I prepared one slide. If you don't mind, I would share this with you.
Sure.
Can you see it?
Not yet.
No, not yet. Okay, didn't work. I'll try again. Doesn't work. I don't know why. Anyway.
Never mind. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, of course. Well, we have thought of the benefits for our target groups. We have three major target groups: the corporates and the SMEs. They search access to innovative minds and agile working culture. They are looking for consulting in the field of corporate innovation. And of course, they are always on talent scouting, and they need employer branding and visibility. So this is the needs of the corporate side. Then we have the startups as another stakeholder group. They are looking for workplaces in an inspiring community. Of course, they need qualification and training and contact persons or mentors. They need access to infrastructure. They need access to users of their solutions, means customers.
Okay, I guess we lost the connection to Christian. Nevertheless, the hub offers a lot to the different actors through these different services and spaces, but also the importance of international actors is very high. Okay, Christian.
So I hope you can see and hear me again.
Yeah, yes, you're back.
Obviously, there was a breakdown of the line.
Please go ahead.
Kim, as the host, can you see me or
Yes,
hear me?
we can see and hear you clearly. Christian, we can see you and hear you. If you like, you can continue.
Okay, so you can see and hear me. Obviously, I cannot see you. Anyway, so the third group of stakeholders is research and education institutions. And of course, we are closely connected with universities and Fraunhofer institutes, for instance. And they need reception and support of their graduates and startups formed in the universities or in the academic surrounding. They need an impulse for educational offers and an environment for inter-academic exchange, not only their own institution, but between the institutions. Also, this can be offered by us as a hub or as a platform. So we try to connect these three stakeholders in the fields in these special needs I just have addressed.
So that sounds actually quite attractive for foreign companies and also startups. I mean, when we look at our audience of today, everybody's coming from abroad but having an interest, in joining the German market. And Asha, in your role at GTAI, you're talking to foreign companies, from all over the world, and you're an advisor to them of how to integrate, how to join the German market. No?
So I leave the stage from my side and try to re-enter.
So Asha, what do you tell foreign companies? What is your advice to them in setting foot on the ground here?
That's a good question, Kim. Usually when we talk to foreign companies or when we are approached by foreign companies, they already have an idea that Germany is a potentially very interesting market where they should be present. Sometimes they already have German clients, but we try to figure out which are the verticals that are most interesting to them, to provide them with more details, to figure out if there is a specific place or any connections that we should provide them with. We see at the time being the very promising verticals, for example, in the field of mobility. So with the e-mobility growing, with a lot of OEMs in the automotive sector sitting here in Germany. I think as well the electronics field is interesting. And as we were talking, the manufacturing sector itself, not only in mechanical engineering, but as well in chemical industry or in the health industry, are more and more adopting this type of smart manufacturing, I would say. Logistics, last but not least, we're a strong exporter, so there's a lot of logistics happening here in Germany, things going through or being exported to or being imported. So logistics is very, very important. That would be one thing. And on the other hand, as we have heard, there are some technological challenges where Germany still is open to new solutions, to new services. So Yeah, I think data integration is something we really would invite foreign businesses to come and to help us, because workforce specialists are needed in that, and we probably can't come up with them only from Germany, or maybe not in the next 3 to 4 years. So yeah, these technological approaches can cover like edge computing or AI. And last but not least, we always try to gather the attraction towards our R&D facilities and the opportunities to take part in joint projects that are partly financed on the regional levels, but as well on the national level. Plus, EU programs are there to give it another push, because Industry 4.0 is not something that stops at the border, neither at the wall of the company nor at the border of Germany. So yeah, you have to have this international thinking.
I guess that's a very important message here, that when you come to Germany and start a business, or start your business in this market, it doesn't need to be limited to the potential of Germany, of course. I mean, Germany as a location within Europe, and as a central actor here, of course, is very attractive in itself. But so Falco, you're a specialist in IoT, but of course, in the discussion previously, we also talked about different technology stacks. Now, for instance, artificial intelligence and blockchain. So, do companies actually have to understand all of them? Do they at the same time? And is it quite like another challenge in itself? Or how do companies interact? And deal with these technologies?
I mean, clearly they only have to know IoT plus network, but that fact aside, yeah, I think you will not get around having experts in different areas. I mean, you mentioned earlier that data is key. The data economy, if you want to be part of it and play a role in it, means that you have to have experts in data. Where does data come from? How does data get created? How does data work? What can I do with data? Like, there's a market for data. There's an aftermarket for data. They work differently potentially in the future. And of course, in order to understand where data comes from, I would say in the future, especially in the business to business area, data will come increasingly from machines. So you've got relatively clean and clear data that you could get. Then you could basically use it for an AI or for an algorithmic application. So you need to understand what does my algorithm need? Where does AI start? Where does it end? How can it train an AI? And all these different matters. And where we have a network around the Internet of Things, so connecting the physical to the digital, we also connect into all these different topics, of course. As we said, it's not just a regional or a geographic boundary-less kind of thinking. It is also it's not bound by technologies per se. So you need to connect to other things, but the different technology stacks work according to slightly different logics, but all build upon data and how do I interact with other technology stacks.
Yeah.
And just quickly, you asked how do companies deal with this? I mean, they're looking for consultants, they're looking for experts in the field. So in this sense, we're coming back to what we said earlier, like why do they reach out to ITOS Network? Why do they reach out to Stuttgart, for example, to the to smart systems, smart solutions, smart thinking people and other companies? It is because you need to network, you need to interact in order to get out of your boundaries.
Yeah, let's talk a bit more about this actual interaction between let's say technology providers, be it a startup or be it an SME, but and the companies that have the needs. How do they actually come together? I mean, how does is it let's say traditional meet and greet, you get to know each other slowly, or is there a market for technology solutions? The company just, try to source them, especially, now talking about foreign companies, how do especially international startups, get in touch, with the right people in the German companies?
It is generally a lot of footwork. So larger companies can do it a lot more easily because they have more manpower. So you basically do research in the market. Nowadays it's online, of course. You try to look for keywords. try to identify the right people in the market. But this is basically why we're trying to not only have the Digital Hub initiative, if I may say so, but also the different hubs that then clustered around the various keywords have the companies that may have answers for you and can speed up the process. Yeah. So in that sense, at least we are trying to be a focal point for everything around Internet of Things-based technologies. Anything you might need, even if you're not completely sure whether you need IoT, we can potentially figure it out for you or tell you what it could hold and what you could benefit from. And so then you need to identify the right people that can cluster it for you and identify what you may need or may not need. So external consultants, and then of course networks like IEEE Network and initiatives like Digital Hub Initiative, I would say are good places to start with. But you need to do some footwork still, of course.
Definitely. I guess having access to networks, having access to to people, that can also refer to you to the next stage is very important. I will get back to this, Asha. How you actually make these introductions. But first of all, first I want to ask Christian. In Stuttgart, when you get in touch, when you get an interest from a foreign startup, what do you do with it?
Well, first of all, we closely listen to what
Christian,
they...
you're muted.
Strange. I'm not... Can you hear me, Asha? Asha hears me, so strange. Some bug. Anyway, you can hear me. So we are having a very close look at what they do. And once they do not fit in our range of the future industries, we would sort of forward them to another hub in our network, of course, for instance, insurance or health. But when we think they fit into our network, we try to organize platforms or events where they can meet their peers and potential users of their offerings. And I would say it's 4 fields we are interested in or we can work for. And Falco mentioned them more or less the same. It's the real-time transparency of production processes. So that's the data mining. Then it's AI, aggregating and interpreting these data. This comes to cloud computing, which means sort of processing the data, and this leads to cybersecurity. And these 4 steps are very important, and that's why they are so complex, and that's why it is quite difficult for a traditional entrepreneur to have an overview or to have an emotional clearness to be sure enough to take these decisions. That's why we try to find solutions step by step.
And that's also where you step in as guidance counselors for these startups, but also for these companies to actually manage this complexity.
We are not tech experts. I'm not a tech expert, but we can communicate. We can speak the languages of both sides.
And if I may quickly add, just how do you get in touch? I mean, for us at least, you get in touch with us as a network people, and we will forward your request. I mean, if it's a valid request that we can help with, we will forward your request to our community. And I wanted to say this because I've come to realize we are already more ahead of the technology curve by having, for example, an internal Slack that all of our members can interact in, whether it is regarding health and IoT, or whether it's about asset management and IoT, or buildings and IoT, or you name it. We have different clusters and groups internally, and we can forward it to the right people, and they can reach out to you back, or you can join and be an active member of the community as well. But I tend to realize that many people in established companies and older companies, more mature companies, do not necessarily have a good grasp of what Slack is, for example. And that's the kind of thing we're actually discussing here as well, right? The what's digitization. And I keep coming back to you have to live it, you have to try it out in order to understand it better.
Yeah. So Asha, when you deal with companies, they of course have certain questions, certain needs about information about Germany and different tax and legal and locations and all of that. But I can imagine they also have the needs to find the right contact people. I mean, not only in terms of business development, but just basically building a network in the industry in Germany when they come here as well, right?
Right.
How?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we are doing as an economic development corporation. We provide this guidance, hand-holding service, bit of project management, explaining the hard facts. But then as well, we act as an information broker. So by asking the companies, usually a bit more mature, maybe not a startup that just got founded, but when they are a bit more mature, we really ask them many questions to get a full understanding of their needs. I'm not a tech person either, but by asking companies, I can get a feeling what they need, which kind of context they would need, and we then refer them with personal introductions, for example, to the networks of Christian or Falco, or of other, in one of the 16 federal states Germany consists of. So that's sort of the guidance we can offer to international companies from all over the world. And given the fact that we as GTI are an accepted partner within the German, I would say, environment of economic development, when we approach our partners, usually they are very open-minded and open-hearted to learn what the company might need at the time being, and then give this kind of support.
Great.
Yeah.
So what I can hear here is it's clear call to action, and you as GTAI representative here, you can be the first point of contact on that level. Falco mentioned the IoT Plus network, so Falco doesn't even only represent his own personal network, but also then the whole industry network, and also with Christian in Stuttgart and the whole digital hub initiative can be a good point of contact.
I think if I may say one last word from my side, we are talking about very strange things, let me say, about formal things, cutting edge technology, but in the end, decisions are taken between human beings. And there has to be a confidence and there has to be a mutual understanding. And so I would say our network is dealing with technology, but in an emphatic and human way.
I guess that's a very, very good point in closing words here, that in the end, all the technology needs to be applied, and it needs to be set up correctly for the purpose of people in the end.
Exactly.
So we're almost at the end here of our time. If there are no further questions from the audience, or no questions from the audience, then I would ask all of you for one quick final statement here, and targeting our international audience. What's your key takeaway point here for the audience, Asha?
Very quick and simple. Germany works. Come and try.
Try it out. Get in touch. Okay, great. Falco, what can you recommend?
If you are thinking about the data economy, reach out to us.
Clear and simple.
Very good.
And Christian?
One big network, 12 gateways. You can take either one.
I couldn't say it better. So it's all about networks. It's all about knowing the right people in order to make business, to make connections, and to be successful. Absolutely. So we're at the end of our talk. Thanks so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure. Asha, thanks a lot for your input. Christian, Falco, all your expertise, highly appreciated. Dear audience, I hope you had fun. You learned something. I hope you also know now whom to contact when you're interested in entering the German market. You have experts on your side, so this webinar was the last one in a series of 4 introducing German technology sectors to a global audience. And we look forward to the final Startup Germany tour in November. and hope to see you from all over the world there. And there's nothing else to say that thanks a lot. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully see you soon in Germany. Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Kim. Bye. Bye.